As many of us struggle to adjust from this weekend's time change, a battle is reigniting in Congress over whether to do away with that time change for good and how. The Senate passed legislation last year to make daylight saving time permanent, but many in Washington are now advocating to make standard time permanent instead. So, what's the difference between the two, and how does this impact our sleep? On this National Sleep Awareness Week, founder of the Sleep Doctor and clinical psychologist, Michael Breus, is here to walk us through it all. And it was interesting. We were just talking about this, your thoughts of if this is going to happen. But before we start predicting on any of that, what is the difference between daylight saving time and standard time, and how do they affect our health, each of them?
So at the end of the day, our bodies are the ones that help determine standard time. Daylight saving time was something that was actually instituted in the early 1900s. And it was really to save some daytime because we were an agrarian society. So it was out to the farm, do your thing. More sunlight allows you to do more work. We're really not that any longer. And to be fair, daylight saving time is really taking standard time and manipulating it by 1 hour in one direction or another. It's basically just not good for your body.
Not everybody's affected in the same way. I mean, not everybody sleeps in the same way. It's something like more than 100 million people in this country have some sort of sleep issue.
Yes.
But how does it affect different people?
So it's interesting. People have what's called a chronotype. Now, you might not have heard of the term, but you've actually heard of the idea. If you're an early bird versus a night owl, you can actually be affected quite differently based on this change in time. So as an example, we just lost an hour of time. Well, that's not going to necessarily be too terrible for an early bird. They're used to waking up early, that kind of thing. But if you're a night owl like me, it has a pretty big effect. And the effect can last for, a couple, 3 days.
Before we, while we were talking in the commercial break, and I'd love people to hear this.
Sure.
I said I'd love to just go back to it so that there are no depressing early sunsets in the winter, right? Like, I hate that. But you said there's something more important than that.
Yeah, so what ends up happening is when there's a change in the time, the exposure of light into our eyes changes. We really shouldn't wake up in the darkness. Now, I know a lot of journalists out there, especially you guys
Everyone
who have...
in the control room
I know,
right now
everybody's like, Michael, but it's true. Like, what we really don't want to see is when light enters our eye, it turns off the melatonin faucet in our head. And so that's the perfect way to wake up. Believe it or not, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine has put forward a statement saying, daylight saving time out, standard time in.
You think it's going to happen?
I do. I definitely think it's going to happen. Let's be fair. There's already a couple of states that don't do this anyway, right? So we're starting to fall in suit with them. But what I think is the problem is that there have been some people who've said daylight saving, go, 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 and they really didn't look at the science behind it. The science would dictate that it's better for our bodies. We have an entire body of doctors who are saying, hey, this is not such a great idea. And so leaning more onto standard time, I think, is going to do everybody a whole lot of good.
Yeah, I don't think I've met anyone in my personal life who advocates for the other. Like, everybody wants to have that extra hour and just keep it that way, the lighter. But we are doing this still. So what are your tips until this, this wonderful thing that people want to happen happens? What are your tips for adjusting each time we change?
Sure. So this time that we changed, everybody lost an hour. So the big issue there is if you're already sleep deprived, it's just going to be worse the next day. And some people, it will take a little bit longer for that effect to linger on. If you have young children, toddlers, babies, it takes them much longer for them to be able to adjust. Adults like us, usually we adjust in about a day, day and a half. Interestingly, historically, the day after daylight savings was the #1 day for car accidents in the United States.
Are you serious?
#1 day. Then they finally moved it from Sunday to Saturday. So we decided to slow that part down. But we really are starting to see that it is detrimental to our health.
I mean, I think if you're looking at the stats and it's telling you the day after, there are tons of car accidents, I don't know.
It doesn't take
I'm not a
genius,
doctor, but it kind of it makes you look and go, okay, maybe that's not the best thing.
Yeah. The other things that people can do is have a good breakfast in the morning. A lot of people have a tendency to skip breakfast, down the caffeine, and kind of get going. I would actually advocate for a high-protein breakfast, right? So egg whites, avocado, something along those lines, especially the day after, because your body's going to be needing that energy because it's going to be a little low on the energy side.
Dr. Breus, thank you so much. And talk about downing the caffeine and going. That's what I do. It's what everybody I work with does. Thank you so much. Maybe we'll have you back when this is finally done and we can talk about the benefits.
Yeah, it would be great. More information on thesleepdoctor.com.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
You bet.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.